My name is Maria, and everyone knew me, not as a celebrity, but as the queen of conversions in the world of digital marketing and advertising. I had my own agency with over 50 employees, an office in the city center with panoramic views, and an income most people only dream about. But it all started with nothing. When I was 22, I sat in a tiny apartment in a residential district and stared at my bank account. 340 hryvnias. That was everything I had. No job. Only sporadic translation work online, 50 hryvnias here, 100 there. I was living on scraps. But I was different from my peers in one crucial way. I didn't try to solve my problem the way everyone else did. While they rushed around looking for jobs, I kept asking myself one quiet, stubborn question. How can I use what I know so people will pay me more? My first real break came almost by accident. A small appliance store needed a website. I built it for 1,500 hryvnias. The owner was thrilled, like a kid on Christmas morning. He offered me a deal. 5% commission on every sale made through the site. First month. 3 orders. Second month. 8 orders. It wasn't much, but it was something. And more importantly, it showed me the principle. I could build a system where money came in even when I wasn't actively working. So I took the next step. I created an online course called Digital Marketing Basics for Small Business and uploaded it to Udemy. Price: $29. First month. 2 students. Second month. 7. Third month. 31. This was my first real system. Money was flowing while I slept. For the first time, I understood what passive income actually meant. But then, and this is where the story gets important, I made a critical mistake. I got drunk on growth. I hired people aggressively. I expanded the office. I bought expensive equipment. I signed an expensive lease in a prime location. My business grew from about 500,000 hryvnias to several million in revenue within 3 years. It looked incredible on paper. But I was working 14 hours a day. I couldn't remember when my birthday was. My relationship fell apart because my partner finally said, "You love that business more than you love me. And I can't compete with that." The first warning came quietly. Night chest pain. Stress, I told myself. The second warning was harder to ignore. I collapsed during a meeting with my biggest client. I literally fell off my chair onto the office floor like some kind of broken machine. The third warning destroyed everything. It was 2018. I came to work one morning and found a letter from my chief accountant, someone I'd trusted for 5 years. He had disappeared. With him, he took 1.2 million hryvnias. Basically all of my liquid cash. This wasn't just theft. It was betrayal on a scale I couldn't have imagined. He had been friends with my lead developer all along. They'd planned this for months. They knew my access codes, my system vulnerabilities, everything. My world collapsed in a single night. The bills didn't stop. The rent was still due. My employees still needed salaries. Clients still wanted their services. And I had nothing. I went to a bank asking for a loan. The loan officer laughed, actually laughed, at me. "Ma'am, your expenses exceed your income by millions. Even if you had a Harvard economics degree, we couldn't help you." My revenue dropped 80% in a month. My team scattered, looking for other jobs. Clients left. Partners disappeared. I made the hardest decision of my life. I shut it all down. I terminated contracts. I let people go, people who had trusted me, who had built something with me. I sold almost everything in that beautiful office to cover immediate debt. Furniture, computers, coffee machines, all gone. By 31 years old, I was lying on an old couch in a modest apartment with nothing. No job, no savings, no business, no plan. Just me and the sound of the city outside my window. People told me to move back to my parents' village. Go somewhere quiet. Accept that I'd failed. But I couldn't move. I could barely breathe. That's when the real darkness came. The first 2 weeks after I shut everything down were the worst of my life. I didn't leave the couch. I didn't answer calls. I didn't shower. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, watching the light change through the window. Every time I looked at my phone, it was to refresh my bank account in some pathetic hope that money had magically appeared overnight. It never did. But something strange happened in the 3rd week. Not motivation, I didn't have that. Not even hope. What I felt was something more primitive and more powerful. I need to eat. I need to survive. On day 1 of week 3, I sat up. I opened my old, damaged laptop. I created a simple spreadsheet. And I asked myself one straightforward question. What can I do tomorrow to make money? That was it. Not how do I rebuild my empire. Not how do I get revenge. Just. What can I do tomorrow? Day 1. I posted on Facebook. I offered digital marketing consultation. $50 per hour. Day 2. My first client called. It was the appliance store owner from years ago, my very first customer. He said he'd always valued what I taught him. Day 3. I went to his office. I sat down across from him. And I cried. Actually cried, for an hour straight. I couldn't speak professionally. I couldn't pretend to be strong. I just fell apart in front of this man. He let me cry. He gave me tea. He didn't try to fix anything. Day 4. He sent me my first payment. I stared at that $50 deposit for an hour. I felt like I was holding diamonds. This was my second rise from zero. But this time, I understood something crucial. Speed kills. I had learned the hard way that the faster you grow, the more fragile everything becomes. The bigger the empire, the harder the fall. So I made a decision. I would grow like a crystal, forming, slowly, carefully, one layer at a time. Month 1. 3 clients. Month 2. 5 clients. Month 3. 7 clients. Month 4. 9 clients. Every month, I simply added 2 or 3 new clients. It was boring. It was slow. But it was stable. My monthly income climbed slowly. From $300 to $500 to $800 to $1,200 to $2,000 within 10 months. And I didn't repeat my old mistakes. No aggressive hiring. No expensive office. No pretending. I worked from my apartment. I sent invoices from a Gmail account. I met clients in cafes. But something else happened too. Because I had nothing to lose, I became genuine. I stopped performing. I stopped trying to impress anyone. I simply told the truth. Here's what I can do. Here's what I charge. Here's why I'm worth it. And people responded to that honesty in a way they never had before. One day, a client pulled me aside. He was the owner of a fitness center network, a successful guy. He said something that would change my entire life. Maria, I get that you know marketing. But that's not your real gift. Your real gift is storytelling. I've watched you work, and I can see how you make things come alive. People believe you. They want to follow you. They want to be like you. So why don't you use that? I'd never thought of myself as a storyteller. I was technical. Analytical. A numbers person. But the idea planted itself in my mind and wouldn't leave. At 32, I did something that terrified me. I created an Instagram account. Every single day, I posted. Not about marketing tactics or business tips. I posted about my crisis. About how I fell. About how I survived. About what I got wrong. About what I learned. I posted about the appliance store owner and that first $50. I posted about lying on my couch thinking I was finished. I posted about the slow climb back to stability. I posted about fear and shame and what it felt like to fail publicly. The first month. 100 followers. Second month. 500 followers. Third month. 2,000 followers. But the numbers weren't the point. The messages were. People wrote to me saying things like, I was sitting at home in depression. I thought my life was over. Then I read your story and I realized I wasn't alone. I started my first business last month. Thank you. Others said. I was about to give up on my dream. But your honesty made me understand that failure isn't the same as being a failure. These people weren't responding to some polished Instagram influencer. They were responding to me, real, broken, honest me. That was when I finally understood my true purpose. It wasn't to build the biggest business. It wasn't to win awards or get famous. It was to tell people who were suffering that they weren't alone. I expanded this calling. I started a podcast called Couch Stories by Maria, literally named after where I'd collapsed. I began writing articles. I started interviewing other people who had their own stories of falling and rising. Then, something unexpected. A publishing house reached out. We want you to write a book. I wrote it. The title was something like From Zero to the Couch. How to build a business that doesn't destroy you, and how to walk away when it tries. It became a bestseller in Ukraine. Then it got translated into 7 languages. Around 4 years after my collapse, I was speaking at an entrepreneurship conference. A man came up to me with tears in his eyes. I read your book, he said. I was ready to end everything. I thought I was a failure as an entrepreneur because I couldn't scale my company fast enough. But after your book, I realized something. Maybe I wasn't failing. Maybe I was just choosing a different path. I run a small business now that I actually love. I'm present with my family. I'm happy. You showed me that was allowed. That moment, that single conversation, showed me why I'd gone through everything. Not to build empires. Not to prove anything. But to tell people the truth. There are many ways to succeed. The loudest way isn't the only way. I'm 35 now. My current business brings in around 5 million hryvnias per month. Not because I have a huge team or some revolutionary product, but because I built a system that doesn't depend on me constantly running it. There are 30 people on my team. I work 4 days a week, 6 hours a day. The rest of my time is mine, for training, for life, for reading, for being with people I love. People still ask, Maria, why don't you scale further? Why not aim for 10 million? 100 million? My answer never changes. I don't need billions. I need peace. I need meaning. I already have both. Let me tell you the lessons I learned. The real ones, learned in my own skin, not from a business book. Lesson 1. Success without meaning is poison. It's like living in a beautiful palace while being a prisoner inside it. You have everything, but you can't enjoy any of it. Your chest hurts at night. You don't remember your friends' names. You miss your child's childhood. Money in the bank doesn't matter if your life is bankrupt. Lesson 2. The fall is necessary. It breaks your illusions. It forces you to distinguish between what actually matters and what only looks shiny. I'm grateful I collapsed, because it taught me things no success ever could. Lesson 3. Pride is your worst enemy. When I finally let myself be vulnerable, when I asked for help, when I admitted I was broken, doors opened everywhere. When I tried to act invincible and untouchable, people kept their distance. Lesson 4. People don't buy products. They buy people. They trusted me because I was real. Because I showed my weakness. Because I didn't pretend everything was fine. The more honest I became, the more they believed in me. Lesson 5. Your growth speed is limited by the health of your team. If you grow faster than you can attract good people, you're building a house on sand. I learned this by watching it collapse. 3 years ago, I met with my younger self, a 32-year-old entrepreneur who was repeating all my old mistakes. He'd started a company, grown it fast, hired 15 people, rented an expensive office, bought nice cars. And now he was miserable. No sleep. No joy. No presence with his family. He asked me, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I enjoy this?" I told him the truth. You're not broken. You're just blind. You confused speed with direction. You think moving fast gets you closer to your goal. But you don't actually have a goal. You have fear. Fear that others are growing faster. Fear of missing out. Fear of being left behind. And that fear is running your life. He said, "But how do I slow down? I have responsibilities." And I said, "Yes. You do. But you also have a life. You're just choosing to trade it away for something that won't satisfy you even when you get it." That conversation, that's what I want to tell everyone now. Choose consciously. Choose with intention. If you slow down intentionally, you don't collapse. You rise differently. My first podcast, Couch Stories by Maria, has over 1 million subscribers in Ukraine alone. My second book got translated into multiple languages. I created an online course, not to build another empire, but to give people a structured path to escape their own dark rooms. And now I'm becoming an investor. I invest specifically in young entrepreneurs, especially women starting their first business. I don't just give them money, I give them courage. I give them accountability. I give them permission to grow slowly. My phone rings constantly with people asking for mentorship. I can only say yes to a few. But for those I work with, I offer something no amount of money can buy. Honest conversation with someone who had everything and realized it still wasn't enough. 3 years ago, I made a vow to my business and to myself. I wrote it down. Reduce the workload. Keep the meaning. Do the work. But do it with less desperation, even if short-term income shrinks. What happened next surprised me. When people, my team, my clients, realized I wasn't chasing growth like a madman anymore, they valued me more. They paid me better rates. They recommended me more. They stopped seeing me as a service provider and started seeing me as someone they genuinely cared about. My income actually went up. If you're listening to this because your life broke, because you fell hard and you're wondering if you'll ever get back up, this message is for you. You didn't fail. You're not finished. You're not in the ending of your story. You're in the hard middle part. The dark part. The part nobody talks about. And that's often the part where the strongest people are made. I can't promise you'll recover exactly like I did. The future isn't scripted. Life doesn't work that way. But I can promise this. If you put meaning above money, honesty above performance, and steadiness above speed, you will build something that lasts. Something real. Something worth the suffering. And that makes all the difference. End.